Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Trey. This is First Formation Morning Sports Talk. And of course, we in the building. So come on and fall in with us as we get ready to get this morning started. So don't be late to this formation. Y'all know what it is. 4856 always to be handed out, or whatever it is, your particular sport, your particular branch of service. I'm very sure you've had it before. So come on, fall in as we got a special show. Of course, all every show is special, but today, of course, we're going to be joined by the National Military Basketball Tournaments founders or coordinators, Mr. Dwayne Reed and Mike Richardson, as we talk to them. Of course, anything, and of course, our regular speaking about sports. So come on, fall in. We give you a little time to get here to the formation so we can get it started. Good morning, Freddie. What's good with you? What's good? Key, what's good with you, man? Hey, we're gonna talk about it, Key. You gonna say what is understood needs not be explained. We're gonna talk about it, Key. But good morning in any case. Um, don't get caught. Don't be sitting with me. Hey, Jackie, what's good with you this morning? How you doing, sweetie? I know, Key. I know. So it's coming. Come on, fall in. Come on. We got some things to talk about. Yes, sir, Freddie. Come on, sitting with LeBron and KD. Let's get ready. Maybe Joel will join us. James, what's good, Anthony? What's good? What's good with you this morning? So, like I said, of course, we're gonna have two guests, and Mr. Mike Richardson and Dwayne Reed. Of course, both Army, you almost said Army, Air Force veterans, doing book things down in Joint Base San Antonio or Richardson down in the San Antonio area. Uh, Representing for the good morning, good morning, good morning. Come on in. Representing for the as I call it, the soldier athlete or the military athlete, doing great things. As this weekend they'll be hosting the National Military Basketball Tournament. uh but you know what I'm saying, I want to let them be able to talk that talk so they can sit up and explain, and we get into this. So of course, to further ado, Mr. Dwayne Reed and Mr. Mike Richardson, how y'all gentlemen doing this morning?
Good morning, man. We are happy to be here. We really appreciate you inviting us on this special day. We're looking forward to a great weekend. I just want to say thank you, and I'll turn it over to my tournament director, Mr. Mike Richardson, who has done big things with this program and this tournament. So, Mike.
Mike?
Hey, good morning. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Loud
all
and
right,
clear.
all right. Took me a little bit to figure this out, but yes, glad to be here, and hey, looking forward to a big weekend. We got a big extravaganza going on. A lot of hard work is put into this thing to make sure that we can provide the best for our military athletes, whether it be Army, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, or our guardians. So, hey, we ready to get the show on the road, man. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm good, gentlemen. Always same old. Great. Glad to be here in the great state of Louisiana. On
No
Fort Polk.
doubt. I'm
So,
from the boat, baby.
gentlemen. Oh, see, okay, see, so you get. Let's get into that. So, where are you gentlemen from? Where are you gentlemen from? Where you gentlemen from?
Richard, I'm from Louisiana. I'm a
Okay,
military brat.
okay,
Um, uh, Out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Uh, do a lot
okay,
of
sure.
things. Big LSU fan, Saints fan.
Mm.
Uh,
So
my first
everything.
duty station was at Barksdale, so I'm real familiar with the boot.
Okay, Mr. Reed.
Born and raised in Detroit, 313, baby.
Okay, D Town in the building. I see. So is it fair to say, or we all know you might give us an alibi? Is it fair to say that Pistons, Lions, Tigers? Is that all, or you like others that saying? Most people, I shouted out to Mr. Richardson because he was a military brat, but he ain't claim the Patriots or anything like that. So is it Detroit everything, or what's the excuse? I'm just listening. I'm listening.
Detroit, everything. Mike
Okay,
can tell
okay,
you, I got a Detroit Lions mug in my office right here.
okay. True fan, the true fan, of course,
Yeah,
of
the
course.
only Detroit thing I've seen on this base. So he is definitely a true Detroit fan.
Okay, so that's what's up. That's where he is. Of course, I represent the 49ers. Being from California, I'm the same way. Cali everything for the most
Mhm.
part.
Mhm.
Um, so like you said, both service members. What the Mr. Reed? What did you do in in the service in the Air Force? Air Force. I'm Army, but what I'm saying, we got two Air Force. I'm being
Hey,
overran by the services
hey,
this
we're
morning.
not gonna hold that against you, okay?
Okay, okay. So what did you do in the Air Force?
Yeah, so after high school, I joined the Air Force. I've always wanted to be part of the Air Force. So I joined the Air Force, and I was fortunate to go to MWR services. And immediately, about 6 months into my career, they moved up to the fitness and sports section. And
Hmm.
man, as an 18-year-old from Detroit who loved sports, it was right up my alley.
Hmm.
So I was stationed in Alaska, my first duty assignment, and I worked in the fitness center there. And that started the love for putting on programs in sports. I had a director there, and he kind of brought me under his wing, showed me how to do intramurals, the basic of all sports. And then we had a varsity program, and then it just went from there. And I just fell in love with MWR services, and I've been a lifetime member.
Okay, okay. Uh, Mike, what was it that you did in the service?
Oh man, how's I ended up being what you call a special duty kind of person. I
Uh
did a
huh.
lot of special duties.
Okay.
Originally, when I came in the Air Force, I came in as security forces on Army side, which would be military police.
We put it. Yes.
Yeah, so I came in security forces, stayed there for a little bit. After a couple of years, I retrained out of that, went into information management or cyber. Did that for a little bit. While I was in that, I actually went to Office of Special Investigations, which on Army side would be CID.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my counterparts there did that, and then I came down to San Antonio and became a military training instructor or MTI counterparts, drill instructor
Mm-hmm.
or drill sergeant. I did that for 12 years and went from there to a PME instructor and superintendent, moved from there, finished up and retired as the superintendent of the Inspector General's office here in Fort Sam Houston. So yeah, long 24 years, man.
A
I
long slate.
did a little bit of everything.
I see. As we see. So before we get into y'all in the National Basketball Association, have y'all been checking out the playoffs? Let's say in the NBA playoffs, have y'all people? I know none of our teams are there. Well, one of our teams, actually. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
stand corrected, Mr. Richardson. Uh, one of the three of us has some skin in the game. But have y'all been checking out the NBA playoffs?
Yes, we have, and we talk about it every morning in the office.
Okay, so see now, let's see, two birds with one stone now. So have y'all been entertained? Are y'all entertained with this year? Is it a good year, you think, just for basketball in the sense?
For me, I am a referee. I also call college basketball, high school basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it from a fan. I'm always happy just to see the basketball games, the players. I don't really get too deep into this game. I just overall, I'm just a fan of sports in general. So
Okay, okay. Mike, y'all got New Orleans looking at. Yeah, I know the conversation is a little bit different for you, especially when you probably about to knock out, knock out the number one seed potentially, possibly. How has it been for you?
Uh, eh, um, I like it. Definitely. got my eye on the Pelicans, but I'm not. You know, it's turned into a great series. Best 2 out of 3 now, so we'll see what happens. But it's been a good year for NBA basketball. Playoffs have been great so far.
Okay, so matter of fact, speaking of that, let me get into some of these scores last night. Of course, the Boston Celtics took on Brooklyn Nets last night, and what we thought was going to be something which maybe Brooklyn was going to be able to fight back and stave off the opportunity for Boston to get them up out of here, but to the dismay, that didn't happen. Boston winning 116 to 112. Of course, led by Jason Tatum's 29 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. At some point in the fourth quarter, 2 minutes actually left in the fourth quarter, Jason actually fouled out and with a close game. But of course, in anything else, it's a 5-man. It's a team sport, and he had other players. Jaylen Brown, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Marcus Smart, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 11 assists. 14 points from Grant Williams. Derek White, 9 points. As Boston continued on, of course, Kevin Durant dropped 39 points, 7 rebounds, and 9 assists with 20 points in the first half. Kyrie, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 13 points from Nick Claxton. However, he shot 7% from the free throw line, which was not helpful. Gordon Dragic, 10 points, 23 points from Seth Curry, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. But, gentlemen, there's a key person in which we did not speak about that was supposed to be in Game 4, Ben Simmons. What do y'all think? Got to talk about it. It's a moot point now, but got to talk about it for a little bit. What do y'all think about the whole Ben Simmons debacle? Now he has a whole year to sit and wait. Will he be effective come next year, do you think? Is this a different team?
That's all you, Mike.
You know how I feel about Ben Simmons.
Let's talk about it, Mike. LSU.
Yeah,
So what's the
terrible
rhetoric?
subject?
Okay. kind of sore.
Yeah. I would like to see more competitiveness out of the young man. I think the young man is he's disturbed. He's got some issues. He's got some inner demons that he needs to exercise and make sure that his mind is right before he comes back and be able to contribute to that team. My personal opinion, I think he's just been like he's acting like a spoiled brat a little bit. So I don't know how he and Kyrie are going to coexist because they both got some issues they need to deal with.
Yep. Mike, I want to ask you this: as a coach, how would you approach Ben Simmons moving forward to next year, knowing that you think there may be some mental issues there? As a coach, how do you approach that?
Well, as a coach, you only can look at it from a certain perspective. I have to look at it from a perspective of what's best for the team. I can't look at what's best for Ben. I know if I'm Steve Nash, I wasn't responsible for bringing Ben in.
Okay,
that's a leadership role. The general manager, the owner. That's my job as a coach.
Yeah.
So I need to do what's best for the team. And if and I said the same thing about Kyrie as well. If we got these guys that potentially can be cancers on the team, it's not going to do you any good. You saw how basically Kyrie was able to manipulate the squad, which is the reason why James Harden is not there anymore, because he brought that rift in. Hey, you got some members of the team that say, hey, I'm a team player, team first, and then you got individuals. So you got to be able to balance that act. You have to be able to balance that act, and then on top of that, you're dealing with professional athletes. All of them got egos.
Yeah, good point.
That is tough.
So It's saying that, and you brought up a good point, and you brought up a person in which I would have asked a question and see what y'all both would think. Steve Nash, is he potentially a scapegoat? Was he the person for this job? Are we a little jumping the gun? A little. It was his first year. What did y'all see from Steve Nash from a sideline aspect when it comes to Brooklyn and the debacle which basically became them?
We had the discussion yesterday.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I think we are a society where we do jump the gun. It is his first year. I think
Second.
Second year, you got to give him some time. Like we can't just say, "Oh man, he's out of here. It's his fault." I think we do that too often without allowing the coach to coach. That's my personal take.
Okay, Mike, you
I feel it differently.
okay.
Um, I respectfully disagree with Mr. Reed on that. I could say, for instance, on the West Coast with Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel didn't build that team with the Lakers. But you know what? He had to go. You can't have that type of roster, that type of talent, and not make the playoffs. Steve Nash, he's almost the same situation. Not Boston, Brooklyn had a nice roster, 2 future probably Hall of Famers, with 3 if you count Aldridge, who's sitting on the bench, and to be swept in the first round, and you're not.
As he comes back in, so I can stand kind of what he's doing. I'm a Lakers fan, so I can see where he's going with it, and understand the possibility of basically when you look at it like this is what you have. But additionally, what I realize and what I see in what I see with Frank Vogel is I don't think he wasn't given the proper team for one, and then not only that, he wasn't. There was issues with the chemistry, and I don't think he couldn't find the right chemistry or the right mixture. As we know, they had 41 to 44. Excuse me, 41 to 44 different lineups. So of course that doesn't bode well for an
41 to
organization.
44 different lineups.
So it's I can completely understand what Mike is saying. Like you was given the keys to this luxury vehicle car, and we wanted to see what's going to happen.
Understand what Mike is saying. Like you was given the hands, it's frustrating. Given the keys I get it. To this luxury vehicle car.
So of course, one of the next game that we had last night, they had our opportunity and they wasn't able to bowl well. The Utah Jazz faced off against the Dallas Mavericks. Here we go. Lakers had. I understand, Anthony. Thank you for reminding me, Anthony. Appreciate you. Utah Jazz faced off against the Dallas Mavericks, in which the Jazz started out the series with a 1-0 run. That was expected to maybe hold off, especially when you have a talent like Luka Doncic that wasn't available. But of course, just like anything else, everyone is a professional basketball team, and the Dallas was no different. As the Mavericks was able to get the 102-77 win, pushing the series to lead to 3-2. The Mavericks led by, of course, Luka Doncic's second game back, led by 33 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 24 points from Jalen Bronson, 13 points from Dorian Finney-Smith. The Jazz led by Jordan Clarkson's 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 17 points, 11 rebounds from Rudy Gobert. Donovan Mitchell, a dismal 9 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, as well as a possibility of him being out the rest of the season, as he is now the third player in this playoff series with a hamstring injury. We'll talk about that in a second. But of course, like I said, now Utah down 3-2, going back home to try to defend their court to force a game 7. Do y'all think Utah is able to hold off, or is this Dallas series to take?
Hey, Dallas is playing good right now with a lot of energy. I see Dallas pulling this off and coming out. My question is, why is Luka in the game late?
So I think it was I think it's an ego thing.
Okay.
I think it's an ego thing. So I think it's one of those situations where you have they want to continue to, of course, condition, or let's say in the case of Luka, he continued conditioning. He gets in that vibe. He gets into that moment. He gets, especially at home, he gets the crowd in it. He's doing damage. For Donovan, I definitely think it's an ego thing where it's like we're pushing it, we're trying to finish it out. We don't want to concede, and I think that's the main portion of it. You don't want to concede to what's going on. You don't want to sit up and basically tap out and be like, okay, we're just gonna go ahead and wrap this one up and go ahead and head home. And I think that was the end state of that. Of course, as we see, Donovan now is going to probably be out the rest of the series. Do they win? Can they win without Donovan in the series?
That's a good point. Like I say, it could be the ego thing, but yeah, you got to protect your stars. You got to know the game's out of hand. You're up, you're good. There's no need for him to be in the game late. But yeah, it could be the ego thing. You're right.
Yeah, it like, coach, leave me in. Like it's someone. It's not too many, and then you gotta look. It's still a business.
True that.
Yeah, and so you don't want to sit up and see the star player from even on the other team being pulled, because then it's almost like you're seceding, and it's like, this ain't what I paid. This is what I came to see. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a business. You have to protect
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, we got you. You got you. So it's just one of those things.
And speaking of that, I think that's going to be something. I know the NBA commissioner kind of, since we're talking about this, how does he address, during the regular season when these stars do sit out and you have these customers coming to see them and they're not in the game? So I think that's going to be a big thing to deal with in the off season.
I think there's going to have to be an equal median. Of course, they're going to have to do with their best to get with the NAB Players Association, so that way they can have a conversation about this and have an understanding of this is what we're looking at. We got to cease and desist with that. Like, when no one wants to pay $354 to sit in mid-level seats to see LeBron, and then LeBron doesn't play. And not to mention, AD is already out with an injury, and all we got is Russ and a couple of old heads, and this is what we're left with. No one wants to see that. So that's like, what I'm saying, like down in San Antonio where y'all are, like no one wants to, like, all y'all have to cling to right now is the DeJounte Murray and Jakob Poeltl. Like, no one was like, say, so just no, they're NBA players. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying, like, like there's no star power. Like, no one wants to see that.
Hey, I will say Pop did start this, didn't he?
Yes. I look at him. I mean, he's a poster. He's a walking poster, assumably. But I mean, besides that, I give him effort for attempting to make the block. But I mean, that's basically what you got. So now LeBron ain't there. It's like, this is what I came to see. Like, that's not. Yeah, that's so. Hopefully they fix that. Understand it's a business, but of course people are people still in the essence. Of course, last night, the last game in which you want to talk about, Key. I know this is going to be gut wrenching for you, Key. Ron isn't here, so I can't sit up and poke at him. But of course, the Raptors and the 76ers faced off last night in what we thought, I know I did. Thought was going to be a closeout game for the 76ers, but Spicy P, Pascal Siakam, had other ideas. Pascal Siakam, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 16 points from OG Anunoby, 12 points from Scotty Barnes, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 16 points from Gary Trent Jr., Precious Achiuwa, 17 points, 7 rebounds, as the diaper dandies, as I say, from the Raptors showed that they're not done yet. They still have some dogs in this fight. Tobias Harris, 16 points yesterday, 14 points for Danny Green, 12 points for Tyrese Maxey, 15 for James Harden, of course, led by Joel Embiid's 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. Do y'all foresee a situation to where the Raptors even up the series and then walk off with the series in a game 7?
Woo, wouldn't that be nice?
I know I'm here for it.
Hey, I'm here for it too. I would love to see that. Yes, sir.
And you know what? Well, I think for the most part, if that was the outcome, I was just about to say that, Key. If that becomes the outcome, I foresee a situation to where Doc is probably going to be available for Jeannie Buss to have a conversation with. We're
Yeah.
like, hey, if he goes and drops another series, not only when you had a 3-0 lead, but then you drop it to the same team that dispatched you and got rid of you in the a couple 2 years ago for the to go to the NBA Finals. I think that becomes a situation where it's just too much, and they're just gonna have to be like, you know what, Doc, we appreciate your services.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, take that interview. Go ahead, take that interview. We have no problem with it.
Yeah, I can see that as well. You can't do that. Yeah.
Mike, you there? You with us?
Mike having technical difficulties over there.
I see. So of course now the Raptors down 2-3, 1 game back with the game, going back to Toronto, going back to their home court, where they have played pretty precisely. You got to think the only game in which they lost on their home court came down to an overtime loss with Joel B hitting the 3-pointer. So it's when you look at it, for me, when I look at it like that, it's a few things that takes. I know, Key. I know. If it happens, I know. You know what? It won't be bad, Key. Like I said, Joel could come on and have a seat. Oh, and Drake is gonna go in. That's the problem. What you need to worry about. Drake is gonna go in if that ends up happening. So, it remains to be seen. But like I said, I'm here for it. But let's switch back to National Military Basketball Tournament. Tell us about that, gentlemen. Tell us all about that.
I think Mike is coming on board now. All right, I'll let him talk about it. Let's see here. It's easier. I don't use that. All right, I'm having technical difficulties in my office, so I'm gonna come over here where
it happens.
Your Wi-Fi's a little bit better. National Military Basketball Tournament. I'm gonna let it go ahead and start with Mr. Reed, actually, because he's one of the co-founders, and then I can bring us up to speed. So I'll let him go ahead and tell you the history of how he and Mr. Little came up with the tournament, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. So when I first started this as a fitness and sports director, my goal was to, hey, how can we get these teams here, military coaches? We have all these volunteer coaches, the players. Let's get them here to San Antonio. Let's get them on the court, and let's have a great tournament, good time. You know, we got all our brothers and sisters from the Army, you know, Marines, Coast Guard, all across Marines, you know. So I said, let's come together. And we started out with, 8-10 teams. We playing here on base. We have our functions. Everything is done on base at the NCO club here. We got lodging on base. And then from there, Mike took over the program and just took it to a whole nother level. Now we got 19 teams coming in. It's a 3-game guarantee. Like, it's just grown so much, and I'm proud to be a part of this. Me and Little didn't envision this, what Mike has taken it to now. Like, it's just great, and I'm just happy to be a part of this. It's a way for me to give back to that military community.
Okay, so I know. So when you and Mr. Little first had y'all vision, what was your initial vision? Like, where did y'all see it? Was it just okay, camaraderie? Okay, let's get these teams together, and so they can play in the tournament, and go from
Yes.
there.
Yeah. So back in the day when we sat down, we both was like, hey, we got these conferences out there. Let's go ahead and take the top 2 teams from each conference. We may have 8 teams. We bring it here to San Antonio. Let's have them play each other, and then have like an icebreaker, somewhere where they can just sit down and relax and talk, play dominoes, play cards, that type of deal. And then Mike came on board and just took it to a whole nother level. Now we are the premier tournament for the military basketball community. And he'll talk about it more, but there's opportunities now where he brings in the armed forces coaches. Players get exposed; they can see. It's just a great deal now.
So, how many years running has the national military basketball tournament been going?
I'm gonna turn that over to Mike now.
Okay.
So yes, we're going into our 11th year.
11 years. Okay.
And bring this, and so far, what I was able to do with Mr. Reed and Mr. Carl Little started 2009. I was still on active duty.
Okay.
And was looking at getting into coaching. So once I became a member of the All Air Force, got my start with the All Air Force women's basketball program. And then 14, we started looking at, hey, it's really kind of scarce of how we can find talent and to play at the all-service level. So actually, Mr. Reed kind of took an idea from the military soccer community. And we also host that tournament as well, the Defenders Cup, in which we brought in all the all-service coaches for soccer. And they had like basically a combine the day before the tournament starts, where they actually basically scout all the talent that's out there and hopefully bringing those guys into camps for the all-service camps.
Okay.
So we kind of piggybacked off that, and we brought that in. We incorporated that into the National Military Basketball Tournament so that we could find those diamonds in the rough. This was opportunity because partly I was going out, me and Mr. Reed were going out, and we were traveling basically like on recruiting visits all across the nation, different bases, and going to different military tournaments. So we kind of came up with the idea, well, why don't we centralize it here, bring in the all-service coaches, give them an incentive to come down, bring as many military teams as possible, or post-base level teams as possible, and hopefully we can find that diamond in the rough, and we provide the platform for that. And we've been mighty successful since we've implemented that.
So is there a process when you look at because I'm very sure there's a plethora of military in the United States, and there's a plethora of teams. Is there a process that y'all go through when you select the participants for to get into the tournament?
Yes.
Is there a criteria?
Yes. A couple years ago, I started almost like my own poll, really.
Okay.
In which we was ranking teams. We was ranking who was the best, well, who we thought were the best teams. So the National Military Basketball Tournament is invitation only. You just can't register and come to this tournament. It's by invitation. You have to be invited. So we invited the top 20 teams that we felt were the best military teams in the nation. And in doing that, we bring those folks in. The process we decide this year is the first year we actually did the seeds,
Okay.
in which we actually seeded everybody, broke it down into like 4 regions, just like the NCAA does, to give them that feel. And then we broke down in each region a top 5. We seeded them 1 through 5 in each region for a total of 20 teams. The 4 1 seeds happened to be Camp Pendleton was one, Joint Base Langley Eustis was one.
Yeah, I talked to them when they're one of them. Yeah.
Hawaii Elite is a 1 seed, as well as Fort Jackson. Fort Jackson Military Basketball is also a 1 seed.
Okay.
And due to commitment issues and funding issues, Camp Pendleton dropped last week. So took us from 20 to 19 teams. But our process is we seed them, and then after that, it was like a random draw, basically, in regards to which region that they would be placed in. We seeded them that way. We took the 1 seeds, pulled them out of a hat that determined which region they went in. Then we took all the 2 seeds, did the same thing, determined which region they went in, all the way to the 5 seeds.
Okay. So random, everything was randomly. Once you had to see, you just randomly selected where they was gonna go or who they was gonna go
And who they're going to match up against. Yes.
Okay. So I can enjoy that being like I said, I was telling, well, I've told y'all both, I'm the sports specialist here in Fort Polk for the intramural sports. So everything like that's like my main function in putting together the tournaments and or leagues, and I'm a big person when it comes to competition, and of course being a content creator and doing things like this. I have a I'm very open minded and always looking for different ways to create something and do something. So I can definitely appreciate that, and of course from a competitive standpoint to make sure like okay, this is random, is no bias because you want the best product there. So you don't want, but of course it leaves open for maybe 2 heavy hitters to be face off in the first round and be like, and then you gotta worry about okay, if this is this what we really want? But I could definitely appreciate that. So now, okay, 20 teams in this, or it was 20, now it's 19, 4 regions. Um, once y'all create the matchups, do you have a sense of okay, this is going to be a good game, this isn't going to be a good game, or just start seeing or have an outcome of what you feel the outcome was based upon the product that those teams have put out?
Oh, most definitely. These first round matchups, I expect a lot of good games. Probably 2 or 3 of them. I'm expecting probably going overtime.
Okay. Okay.
And which is a little different. I mean, one of those teams that people probably haven't gotten to see is the Fort Polk team.
Yes, say it with your chest, Mike. Let's go. Let's talk about that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that Fort Polk team is tough. And they're going up against Colorado Military Basketball in the first round game.
Mm-hmm.
And I will go on a limb and say this. I got to see those guys 4 times now.
Yes, sir.
And the 4 times I've seen them, they never traveled a full team. So they've only come with like 7 guys in times I saw them. But those are probably the most 7 athletic guys, man. They tough.
And see, I had an opportunity to see them, and I see some of them doing. I don't want to give up the secret sauce, but I have an opportunity, like me, myself, and Sergeant First Class Africa, who is the Fort Polk elite Fort Polk basketball coach. Talked about had a conversation prior to the beginning of the season, and we, of course, him being a veteran of the military basketball scene, we talked and discussed. Of course, that's on Claiborne. We talked when I met him and talked and discussed some things, and it's a good thing to see how saying things transpire, how it comes, certain things come to fruition. When you look at how they've been put together, some of the adversities they have to go through in reference to the team, in which I know that's like the rhetoric, of course, of military basketball with sports doing things differently, or the military, how teams or how installations look at the military sports. But it's been a gracious thing to sit and look and see how they evolve, how they move, and now they're on the scene and being spoke about, talked about. Of course, they're a part of the Military Basketball Association, and the fact how they're getting that love, and saying now the notoriety of being seen and recognized. So I always, when I see them guys, I always have good things to say about them. So it feels good, because when I first got here and started working for the MWR and stuff like that, that was one of my main things. Even as a minor league basketball team owner, and coach, I was like, okay, how do I tap into this vein with military basketball? And so I had to become a part of it to see it. So I appreciate the love that you get for the Fort Polk team. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, they are a good team, and they are very well coached. I expect that game that you spoke about, one of the games that's going to be very competitive. That's definitely one. That's a 2 and 3 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Going at it. Another 2-3 seed game that's probably going to be a tough one. It's going to be Fort Hood versus Luke Air Force Base. Another 2-3 seed matchup in the first round. That's going to be epic. And once you got this 3-game guaranteed double elimination bracket, I expect all these games to be fully competitive, because you don't want to go in that losers bracket. Especially with this many teams in it. Softball is one thing. You can play 9-10 games back to back softball and pull some magic off, but it's a little different when you're playing basketball.
Yeah.
And get losers bracket, and legs. You gotta make sure you're recovering well. Fatigue sets in. You don't want to get in that losers bracket. That winners bracket, as long as you're in there, you cruising. You playing maybe 1-2 games a day. So the object for all of them is to stay in that winners bracket. So I expect Friday's games, those first round games, are going to be tough. They're going to be very competitive. It's going to be a lot like this. I expect probably like this, the previous Brooklyn Celtics series.
What we thought we was going to get.
Yeah. But the games, individual games, I expect those close games like that. A lot of close games.
So going back to the planet of this, like, what was your? I hear Dwayne speak about how they had a vision, and upon that vision, you got implemented into the pot, and now it's like I'm saying, being from the boot, that gumbo, that certain ingredient to make your gumbo pop. What was your vision? What was your vision when you was like becoming a part of this to take it to the next level for y'all?
My vision was to give everybody an opportunity, at least on the military level, to feel as closest to March Madness NCAA experience as possible. That's what be bringing on championship rings. And knowing that a lot of these teams paying out of pocket, they wanted to really see where their money was going. A lot of guys are traveling from all over the nation, without aid from MWR. Not all the bases or posts have it like we have it here, where we got the support. We support our teams. We support our varsity programs fully. So the big question was, hey, how can we draw folks and entice them to come back and want to make sure they continue to want to come back each year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our goal. We look at it from an MWR standpoint, that morale, welfare, recreation. It's not a money thing for us. But we do understand a $550 entry fee. The customer wants a product.
Yes.
So our prize package is probably worth about 6-7K. We got rings. We give the banner.
Mm-hmm.
We give the trophy. And we're talking about we give them the dry fit championship shirts, the championship caps. They get to cut the nets down to one shining moment. We give them everything, the whole nine, the whole kitchen caboodle. We don't leave no stone unturned. It's all about the gameplay. We want to make sure we have the top notch officials that we bring in. We bring in all Division I officials. Guys from the East Coast, most of them come from the East Coast and the Midwest, but we're talking about officials that officiate in the ACC, the Sun Belt, the MEAC, the Big East, the Patriot League. I'm bringing in 5 crews, 15 officials, the big guns, because we don't want anything negative coming from this tournament. We don't want anybody saying, "Hey, you know what? We paid all this money, and we had like Bush League officials. They weren't professional. We top notch." And as Mr. Reed said earlier, he's an official himself, so that's something that's near and dear to his heart. That we have the top and the best official that we have, that we bring in. But that was my vision. I decided for me to take it where I wanted to take it, was to give them that March Madness feel, even though they're in the military.
Okay, so it's something that you said that, of course, some of the viewers that we have are even one have been a part of your tournament or pay attention, or service members in general. But we do have some civilian base and that don't really know anything in reference to. And so let's talk about for a second what you talked about in reference to some of these teams are self-funded and they don't have. They basically have to do their own because some installations don't support the above intramurals or varsity sports at their installation. Do you see a great amount of that, and what do you see if you were able to rectify that? What would you see is or a potential plan to solidify that, to help that, to where we get back to where these type of events and the support of the varsity sports programs can reign again?
I hate to say it, but guys like Mr. Reed and myself, we're kind of a dying breed. The culture's changed a little bit in regards to the focus.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could call me, Mr. Reed, old school. We believe in the morale, welfare, recreation. We still think about that as an outlet for our service members, to relieve that stress. And what better way to relieve that stress than through varsity sports? But now it seems like everything is going towards fitness, is geared towards fitness, all the way up to all armed forces. All armed forces was a big deal. Now it's not so much anymore, because we have folks in certain positions that aren't sports people. They'll rather spend their money on a treadmill than invest in their soldiers or their military service members.
I know very well. So, of course, yes. So now, when you look at it, uh, is there a ceiling? Have y'all reached the ceiling with the National Military Basketball Tournament, or do you see a continued growth? Is there anything on the table in which y'all have to where it's like, we're not done yet? We can take this to an even higher level. If y'all could be presented to us a little bit, give us a little insight, peek behind the curtain.
Oh yeah. So I can tell you we're gonna go back with more sponsorships. We're gonna continue to grow this program. This year we happen to have one of the huge sponsors out there, USAA, is come on and sponsoring us this year. We also have BSN Sports.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
we have them sponsoring us. We are also moving towards on the horizon beginning next year. Soldiers the Sidelines are coming in and offering a lot. We're bringing them on board. It's a lot of things that are happening, and we're going to continue to grow this thing, and we're going to rock this thing till the wheels fall off. Um, we're going to continue to do big things. Um, Pretty much in June, in a couple of months, I will be meeting with all my counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm probably gonna have you on that call as well. And we're gonna get this thing under. We're gonna try to bring more MWR programs or varsity sports programs. Get those fit back up within the MWR community, so we get this. And me and Mr. Reed have come up with a solution, a cost-effective solution, to
Mm-hmm.
where our MWR folks won't look at it as a waste of money or an investment. We want to look at it as an investment into our military service members. It's coming. We're looking at bringing probably more conferences and MWR led conferences under
Mm-hmm.
our umbrella. So we just put it all under one umbrella and we rotate some things around because, quite frankly, you hit the nail on the head when it comes to a lot of these teams paying out of pocket, paying for venues they shouldn't have to pay for because we have the venues on base.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of them having to go pay so many dollars to play off base, we're going to bring them back on base. That is the goal. We're bringing everybody back on base, just like we run our intramural programs, which is mandated by regulation and AFI.
Yes.
We're going to try to bring that varsity aspect to it as well and bring back the popularity at all three levels: intramural, varsity, all service. That is what we're trying to do. That's this weekend. We got a lot of the heavy hitters that are going to be here. That's going to be involved in that. So that is where we're going. You wanted a sneak peek behind the curtain, you got it. And
I agree. Greatly
and you have
appreciate
a
that.
seat at the table.
Uh, oh, I'm always visionary. That visionary, as the prophecy was spoken upon my life yesterday. Visionary. So I'm always like I tell people all the time. I have no quarrels with sitting down and listening and figuring out and trying to be that. So I greatly appreciate that. Always open to be able to politic and talk and try to share. I think I have a little something in my tank. So that is a grand thing. Of course, I always look to see like growth and saying coming together. That's one of the main things when I look at engagement. Like it takes engagement and the people to come together to kind of like make things happen. And it may not look like it's going to happen initially, but of course you keep moving that left foot left in front, as we know as cadence callers and marchers. Keep that left foot first. The right follows behind it, and we keep continue on. So I know I was only giving you an hour with y'all guys. I would greatly appreciate y'all for coming on. Uh, I hope to be. Matter of fact, I send a chat thread to y'all and have a conversation with some a little off topic. But to continue to be a part and engage. I really wish I could, especially with everyone coming down there. Really wish we was able to be down there, but of course I have to work this weekend, so that's the only reason why. Because my family always likes to take a trip to San Antonio. We trying to get to San Antonio in general, but so we'll definitely have a conversation and talk. I greatly appreciate y'all. A National Military Basketball Tournament. Creators, you know what I'm saying, innovators, for coming on and being part of the show this morning. I wish I need to talk to I know Mike Barker. I know he has a little play. I know him, engaged with him. He was one of the first when we first started the show. He was one of our first guests that came on. But we look forward to probably, saying more conversations. Maybe I could get y'all back on after our tournament's been done to talk about the post post game and what we seen and what it was like and the whole experience after it's all said and done.
All right, man. Appreciate you having us, man. Yes,
No
thank you
problem, no
so
problem.
much, man. We really appreciate it. The invite is always here to San Antonio. Hey, you need a place to stay? I got you. We got you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen. I look forward to speaking to y'all. We'll talk to y'all later.
All right.
All right.
All right. So, of course, what I'm saying, y'all here to hear the National Military Basketball Tournament. Y'all know be going on this weekend. If you're in the San Antonio area, traveling there, be sure to go check them out or go to the Military All Service page on Facebook. So you can take a look and get all the info there as well. As we all know, Military Basketball Association Commissioner Myers, him and his crew was on the earlier in the week, or correction, last week, in which we talked about that. We know some of their teams are playing in this tournament, as well as they have their conference championships in Las Vegas, as well as in Phoenix, Alabama, and then of course the championship will be in Denver, Colorado, in the mid July. So a lot of basketball going on, a lot of things going on. So you heard it here. We talked about funding. So if there's anyone out there that looks or would like to see what they can do to help maybe some of these teams that are very sure in your local area, feel free to reach out to those organizations, and have open up a line of communication for the most part in any case. So I'm saying gladly glad to have them on. Look forward to hearing about all those organizations and what their outcomes will be. So, of course, saying continue on with a little more of our show. Uh, the previews, as we got 3 teams that will be in play tomorrow. Correction, tonight. The Hawks will take on the Miami Heat as the Heat look to close out the Hawks in their game 5. The Timberwolves and the Grizzlies will be facing off in Memphis as one of those teams look to take a 1-game lead as they're currently tied 2-2. And lastly, of course, one of the games in which I'm very sure everyone has an eye on, the New Orleans Pelicans facing off against the Phoenix Suns as the Suns try to hold on because they should have already dispatched this team. But the grit, the grind, the heart of the New Orleans Pelicans is definitely on display as one of those 2 teams as well looks to take a 1-game lead. In any case, with my picks, I'm rocking with the Heat, the Pelicans, and this is a tough one, but the Grizzlies. That would be my picks for today. Heat. Good morning, Irma. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? The Heat, Grizzlies, and the Pelicans is how I see it finishing tonight. Um, as we continue to look forward. So, of course, yesterday, what also was taking place is the NBA yesterday selected their most valuable player, most valuable player, and of course, that went to no one other than Ja Morant. What's good, Steve, baby? What's going on, man? How you doing? Um, that went to Ja Morant as Morant was tabbed as the most improved player in the league. Of course, becoming a first time player. Correction, all-star, not just the all-star, starting guard for the West, averaging 27 points a game. Great improvement. He outscored, as the foreman mentioned as we was talking to the Mr. Reeves and Mr. Richardson, the 18 points, 13 points, I with 18 points. 18 points out by DeJounte Murray as he was the runner-up in the vote getting. So we talked about him before on the show. So shout out to Ja Morant on most improved player. Let's see if that can be a next level reach in which now he goes from most improved player to becoming an MVP potentially. Is it in his cards? We'll see. Um, of course, additionally, the coach for Coach Taylor Jenkins was fined $15,000 for his remarks in reference to officials. No different from Coach Murray. Excuse me, was Embiid also fined $15,000 for his criticisms of the officials after Game 4. So as you see, it's almost like a protected species. The official is protected as well. You can't say disparaging remarks when it comes to these individuals. Is likely if you're in the league is to get you fined. I know here in the state of Louisiana, if you have problems, if you got beef with officials, run up jumps the boogie. I see you are here. Do I need to send you a link, man? Do I need to send you a link? Ron, what happened, bruh? Like, I just knew we had the conversation earlier. Me, you, Key, I thought we shared the moment, man. I thought we shared a moment. And then what happened, bruh? Now y'all got to go back to Toronto. Now you gotta go. You gotta pull up in Toronto now to get it done. Matter of fact, just like I said, come on, Embiid, Harden, come post up. LeBron, Kyrie, Durant, they're all sitting chilling. It's enough. It's enough room at the table. Come on through. Come on through. We're gonna put that on Doc. Key, where you at? That's what we're gonna do? Anyone? Are we gonna put that on Doc? Was this Doc fault? Now, I do think that Doc, as I said before, I do think that the Doc is going to exit stage left at the end of once it's all said and done. But I don't know if it's Doc's problem, if it's Doc's fault. It's unfortunate. The game of zones, it is. So, like I said, back to what we were saying, these fines, man. If you look at it, think about it. Just got 50,000 fine. Um, Gobert had $25,000 fine, $50,000 fine for Kyrie, 30,000 fine for Gobert. Now again 15,000 for Embiid, 15,000 for Coach Jenkins. They issued them fines is looking real nice for the retired players as they go for it because that's where the money goes to. Additionally, as we was talking earlier about the hamstring issues, now we have Donovan Mitchell hamstring out. You have Devin Booker hamstring out, and now you have Lowry that's out as well with the hamstring as Atlanta uh, takes on Miami. One of the questions I get to ask was: is there a problem? Do you foresee my Atlanta able to pull out a win without Lowry being in the game? Does Miami need Lowry to be able to get the W? If you can, please hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is Lowry a difference maker when it comes to the Atlanta Miami series? Is he needed? Is he needed for Miami to close out, or are they fine without him? He can rest. So, NBA, as we said, fantastic. NFL, right? A little for NFL before I get ready to drop off here. NFL, we all know, if you haven't been in the rock, you heard when yesterday 49ers GM John Lynch has stated he doesn't foresee a situation in which the 49ers, as we know, were 2 days, 48 hours from the start of the NFL draft. But GM John Lynch said he confirms that it's not likely, and he doesn't foresee or can't fathom the ideal of wide receiver Deebo Samuels being traded. But of course, one of the things that came up, like I said, I'm a person that when it comes down to inclusive words, and he said it is not likely a trade will be made for Deebo Samuels. That term likely isn't a warm and fuzzy. He could have just said we're not going. It's not going to be a trade made for Debo Samuels. The term likely in my opinion, leaves a little bit of room for that door to be open. You know how you leave the door open. You haven't cracked it. I mean, you didn't close it fully, and you crack it. And if you have animals like cats or dogs or something like that are in the house, they tend to come in and they just need that little bit of crack to push the door open. And now everything now the door is wide open. That's the same idea when I hear the word likely. Uh, Possibly Applewhite. I could understand. I could get your point. Me personally, I think it's over. But I mean, it's saying stranger things have happened. But yeah, so when you look at that, I'm not. I keep the same energy though. If Debo wants to go, we can't get him to stay, then of course we want to make sure that we get whatever we can for him. In this case, we're pretty good for the most part. He's in his contract year, so we don't have to worry about a situation to where we're playing and we're going to lose him the next year. In playing him, like we can go ahead and move him now, or continue to hold on to him and let him go ahead and um, ride out next year. Um, the New York Giants have an option to pick up the 5th-year option on quarterback Daniel Jones. If they do not pick up a 5th-year option, which they need to pick it up by next week, Daniel Jones will be playing on expiring contract. Picking up the option is worth $20 million for Jones, and of course in the cap space for the New York Giants. So, does the New York Giants pick up that 5th-year option on Daniel Jones, or do they let him walk with the possibility of maybe being a lackluster team or not being the best in team and having an option to pick up what is considered or what could potentially be a better draft class in quarterbacks coming next year's when you have the Bryce Youngs and a couple of other players that'll be available come next year. JT Daniels. I can't think of the quarterback from Georgia. They'll be available next year. Applewhite, true. I've been digging to find out what's exactly going on, as it's been stated that in the Debo case, that Debo Samuel said that the 49ers, and the 49ers, as well as as his agent, all know why he wants out. So I've been trying to see and find if I can find anything to in reference to find out what exactly is it from a media standpoint and from a fan standpoint, to find out what it is and why he why he wants out of San Francisco so badly. Well, and he's not saying so. You say okay. You say they should pick up the option. I believe so too. He's decent. He needs help to full time, some help to see what they got. Saquon maybe comes back this year in healthy. I see they're trying to move Tony, their wide receiver. They got Galladay. Maybe they can make a little noise. Of course, like we said, draft in 2 days. With the draft comes the possibility for trades in which they bring in other players. So it remains to be seen to see if New York is going to make some moves. If they're going to keep Daniels, or if they're going to be looking at potentially moving on. And honestly, even if they don't pick up the contract, doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to be there. That just means he's not expected to be in next year. They always can probably pull a deal. Who's letting go of their Super Bowl winning quarterback if he was to win the Super Bowl? No one's doing that except for San Francisco. Uh, what else do we have in again, I urge. Oh, this one. Where are you at? Where you at, Anthony Price? Bruh, what is going on in Washington? What is with your mans in them? Washington already currently in hot water. The Commanders are currently looking at a potential with Mr. Snyder, as they have been enthralled or caught up again due to they're already in trouble because they're currently being investigated for a environment, toxic workplace environment, including of course sexual harassment and other allegations against the team and the team owner. Additionally, they were fined as a franchise $10 million for as the NFL conducted an investigation that in which they found possibly that there had been some improprieties with finances, in which I mean last year where they had the situation going on in which Dan Snyder was removed from the day to day acts operations for a little bit, and his wife was given the opportunity to take over. Now they're back at it again. As we all know, it came out that supposedly former Commanders vice president in sales, Jason Friedman, basically stated in his testimony that the season ticket holders were security deposits were withheld and was made difficult to get back. So first and foremost, and then additionally, it was supposedly said that they kept two accounting books, in which one was in which of course what's supposed to happen is 40% of the ticket sales from home games are supposed to be given to the NFL so that can be distributed to the home game, the away playing teams uh, in the NFL, in which supposedly the Washington Commanders were not giving or reporting the full amount and was keeping some of that and was shortchanging those organizations and those teams. So of course, in some cases, we're talking about 16 teams that are basically being taken from because that money wasn't reported. Anthony Price, that's your squad. That's your man's of them. What's good, man? What is going on? What is Dan Snyder thinking? Uh, it's funny when you do these type of things. Think about it. Even when you're as a service member, as some of us have been, you make those certain conversations. You make those certain decisions in which you be like, "Hey, if I don't do this, as long as I don't get caught, I'm fine with it." But then when you get caught, it becomes a detriment because now I would think that maybe Mr. Snyder is in the red because maybe he might have to lose his team. I don't know what the bylaws are. I haven't researched what the bylaws are for these type of infractions in the NFL. We know if this was something similar in the NBA, we would probably be having a conversation as those governors would be speaking about what we'd be doing potentially to remove this individual. But Anthony, if you can, please let us know what is going on in Washington. Dumpster fire DC. What teams do? The names are as downward sloping the embarrassment to the league. Applewhite. I think I can sit up and rock with the same sentiment that it's not a good look for them right now. It's just not, especially with this committee over their heads in reference to the you know what, a couple of years ago, I think it was in 2012, 2011, 2010 or something like that, there was a article in the Army Times, right, in reference to toxic leadership and how it could be demeaning, it could be defamation to a unit or organization. He hiding out today, Apple White. So it was a there was a like I said, there was a show, I mean an article in which he talked about about toxic leadership and how it damages the unit organization and everything. This is presumably, like I said, in many aspects, sports, life, army are intersect, and this is one of those things in which is coming to where you have people that are in the upper echelon have some type of voice or has some type of power over one another. And what tends to happen is they abuse that. And I think this is a clear example of abuse of power from Mr. Snyder, allegedly. We'll say allegedly because it hasn't been proven. We all it's all speculation at this point, in which we read about. But it's those things. So I implore you guys, and especially if you have leadership is a it could be a hard thing. Sometimes we won't always get it right 100% of the time, but of course you're expected to attempt to get it. Everyone's a leader in their own right. If you have children, maybe you did, Steve. You know what I'm saying? And which it come out, it's all gonna come out. It's gonna, like they say, like people from the South say, it's gonna come out in the wash. So, but again, as I implore y'all, if you're a leader, uh, you should take everyone is leader in their own right. If you have children, if you're a supervisor at work, sometimes even if you're a subordinate at work and you have other people that look at you because they see certain um, things in you, uh, don't abuse that. You know what I'm saying? Make it work. Use your powers for a greater good, and make things happen. Uh, when you have certain platforms, you don't want to abuse that either. At this day and age in social media, anyone can become what they want to be. You can create personas of what you want to be. It all comes down to that. So take that in mind. Possibly. You know what, Steve? I don't actually think this one is a situation where you can sweep under the rug, bro. I don't think this is one of those. I think it's too much out there to where you can't cover up. Now it's understood. Not to say that they won't try if that's what if they want to do, but I think it's too far gone now. It's too much out there now to where now you have more people looking at coming forth and speaking and talking about the situations. And we're talking about a work environment, a toxic work environment. Of course, when you got sexual harassment, sexual assaults, now you potentially got a person, your insider, that's saying that you kept two separate books and you was keeping money. So now, of course, the Washington D.C. Attorney General is looking at inspecting the organization for financial improprieties within the against, which is a federal law, a violation. I think it's too much for him. And now, when you look at it, it's just no different from when punishments are enacted. When you see someone that has done something and they get in trouble for it, now there has to be an action taken from the NFL for the most part. Or now you start have a situation to where everyone else starts looking at like, well, hell, he did this, ain't nothing happened to him, so why should what's the difference? Why should I do anything different? So it's coming to that point to where Mr. Goodell is going to have to take action. Mm. It could be that's subjective, Steve. I can understand what you're saying. Like we basically this is what's going on because he was fired. He was fired in 2020, I believe. Mr. Friedman, Friedman, or if that's what his name is, he was fired in 2020, and now he's there. Excuse me. Now he's there at that congressional speaking and giving testimonies, and he's letting it all out. Of course, what it seems like to speak to the character, maybe that some of that stuff comes up to where he's having the conversation. and you know, saying sometimes it'd be like that. But you know what? I don't know. So of course he was under oath, and he probably segued into it. So it could have been one of those situations to where it wasn't meant, it didn't mean to come out, but it did, and now he has to deal with that. So I don't know, but I mean, I can completely understand exactly what you're saying. Mm. So, as a service member, Applewhite, the term reflection of your owner and leadership, I think, is loosely tossed around. So, everyone reserves the right to do and say what they want regardless of what's going on with their leadership for the most part. So I've always kind of like been a little skeptical about that term. Although I do know exactly what you're talking about, but in this case, like we're talking about Mr. Friedman, just like Steve said that he believes that it could have been a situation to where all of them was in on it together, wrong between one another, and now you have this situation to where now Friedman is basically talking about and giving it up. But in essence, on the flip side of that, it could be a situation to where he was never really down with the fact of the matter and doing that type of stuff. And now he got called for this congressional. He was under oath and he just let it all out to let it all be known. And that's a situation which you could potentially have going on. Um, and which is unfortunate at this point because now, like you said, now it puts together the perception that okay, is he a better employee that's just looking to get out? He just trying to kick dirt on the grave, or what is it? Or is he legitly coming forth to sit up and talking about this, and because he believes there's really something that's going on there? Like, which one is it? And then which we have it. So of course, like you said, now I will agree with what you're saying, Applewhite, in the fact of that is why it's been a mediocre team, a third tier team. In essence, that could be a situation of why, saying that's just resonated through the locker room, is resonating throughout the organization. And it's kind of hard when there's certain things going on. Everyone's not putting forth their best efforts in doing things. And then it's kind of it gets into the ingrained, it gets ingrained in the fabric of the organization, and now you have the problems, or now you have these problems. So I can kind of like see where you're going with that, and in that aspect. Uh, in any case, it seems like it's an unfortunate thing. I when I look at it, I just see that it's unfortunate when it comes down to that. It's probably the financial portion of it, which is going to be the nail in the coffin for them. When you look at, we have a toxic environment that has been producing certain things. Um, okay, I think I could agree with you on that, Applewhite. But there's potentially other bad leaders or owners for that most part that are terrible out there, and there may not be as bad as Snyder. I think the Dan Snyder situation is just starting to really fester over, and now it's to the point to where he's probably can't. There's only so much. He's probably just waiting for the hammer to come down at this point, or to have the conversation, get called in by Roger Goodell, or have their owners meeting in which they have to discuss, if they have not done so already, about what they're going to do with Mr. Snyder. Uh, but like I said, it's plenty. I think there's a lot of owners that's out there that's probably not the best, but the product in which they put out, it probably isn't that bad. But it's just the point, like that Snyder is at the helm of this. When you go back and think about it, you go back to the whole Dan Gruden situation. Uh, sorry, that was in Tampa Bay. But when you take a look at everything, yeah, exactly, Steve. It's going to be a snowball effect, and I'm very sure some of the owners, like Apple, I was saying, if there's other owners that have certain things that's going on, because what usually is Pandora's box, what happens is it opens it up, and now it's like, okay, well, let's take a look at all the organizations. Let's go do surveys between all the organizations and see what their environment is in their organizations all together. Let's check everyone's books. Let's have a conversation. Let's do this to see where they're really going, where everything's at. And now you have a situation where it's like, oh man, you just sit up and open up. I could be doing the smallest of things, and now it's all out because now you're coming for me. And I hope, and maybe that's like I was saying, Applewhite. That comes down to the fact of, it's up for Goodell and the other owners to reel them in and handle things as need be, as they deem appropriate. Now, us as the spectators and the fans and all that type of stuff, for us, what we feel like may be handling the situation is getting them up out of there. You don't want that. as a part of your organization. Now it should be just like the Denver Broncos. Now the Washington Commanders should be up for sale, but it's not going to be for us to make that decision. The public opinion is going to be for, of course, those owners, because now they have to look at, they have another organization that's up for sale, the value of it, if it is going to bring anything to the conglomerate or to them as a whole. So of course the business aspect jumps back in there again. True that. I would like to believe that too, Applewhite. That if it was the NBA, they would have. It wouldn't have probably been a swift thing, but we definitely will be hearing and seeing some things getting ready to happen, because seemingly the NBA and that environment over there tends to deal with things pretty swiftly, or handle things. Of course, it's not something as egregious as racial motivated terms and actions and things. Someone's not caught on recording a video saying things, or and things of that nature. But I think the grumblings in the back would have basically started something to where it would have to be dealt with during the off season, as we're not too far from. Matter of fact, speaking of that, I cannot remember when was the last time that it took this long for one team to be eliminated. Like, this is a long first round. I'm kind of usually used to swift first rounds where maybe two or three teams or have even got the one lead, the 1 point lead, 1 point, one game, uh, gentleman sweep or even sweeps. Like, basically, we're at one team has been eliminated, and now we're looking at potentially another team being eliminated tonight. If that team doesn't get eliminated tonight, now we're still looking at other teams, like all these 1 point these two game leads. I mean, two game tie leads in 2 games. Like, okay, Bucks is probably going to eliminate Buffalo, the Bulls tomorrow. The Heat or have option to have the potential to eliminate the Hawks tonight. But if that doesn't happen, then we continue on. So it's like, when was the last time in which this was the situation to where we had it to where, true that, to where when was the last time in which we had it to where um, there was we was this deep in the first round of playoffs and no one had, it was only one team that was gone. Does that make for a good product? Are the teams equally matched? What do y'all think? Holla at me and let me know before we get ready to get up out of here. Um, as we move forward to the league, move on. Of course, I'm saying, as we additionally May 12th, drop of the NFL schedule. Of course, I'm looking forward to it. Of course, this today, I'm not today, Thursday, the beginning of the draft for 3 days. Bird Magic era. That's a long time, Applewhite. That's a long time, brother. Of course, we getting closer to the like I said, Thursday, the draft. Um, as we look and see where these top tier talents will be playing. Additionally, if there's going to be any trades, movement on some of your favorite teams. Um, the Eagles, 49ers, Rams, Bengals, Saints. We get to see what's going on. Does Baker get traded? Is he going to be moved, or is he going to be held in Cleveland? Uh, does Garoppolo get moved? Does Debo get moved? We already know 49ers picked up the 5th-year option on Bosa. So next person to in that draft cast, of course, was Debo. Debo's doesn't want to stay. What happens? Like, all, you know, saying this starts to come out. I ain't gonna say it's all gonna come out, because nothing probably happens on that forefront. It might stay where it is. We don't know yet. But of course, I agree with that, Applewhite. Anyone, just like in football, any given Sunday at this point, any given day, teams are able to All you gotta do is catch lightning in a bottle and get hot, and you start to believe in yourself, and you start to impose that will. And as you're imposing that will, the other team starts to look at it like, man, what is going on? You start to feel your superiority starts to dwindle, and you start to feel equal. And then at some point, you start to feel like you're not adequate enough. It starts that mental midget gets on your back, and now you're looking at you're going fishing with the rest of the stars that had the same problem. Think about it. This time last year, everyone expected to see a Lakers and Brooklyn. Not even this time last year, 2 years ago, everyone was thinking, expecting to see a Lakers and Brooklyn matchup due to the fact of all the movements with the players, you know what I'm saying, the veteran talents. It was all the Lakers and Brooklyn. And no one was watching the Phoenix Suns. No one was watching the Grizzlies. No one was watching or checking for the Boston Celtics or the Miami Heat, and looking the all these teams are the ones that emerge and are looking at potentially being favorites to be in the NBA final this year. It is what it is, so saying for the most part with the Philadelphia 76ers, as they are doing exactly what they have been accustomed to do. Do they pull it out? Do they make a difference? I don't know. It remains to be seen. We'll see tomorrow night, I guess, or not tomorrow night when they play. When's the next Philadelphia service? On the Thursday night, of the same night as the draft. Do you watch the draft? Do you watch the 76ers game and the Raptors see if they close it out? I don't know. It all remains to be seen. But in any case, that's my time for today. As I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow, I see what I can pull up for y'all. See who we can get on the show to talk a little bit before we get ready. Of course, the E2G. Y'all be sure to check out all the E2G Sports Networks channels. We also look to have a E2G draft show, so that's in the works. Be sure to check that out where you'll be able to stream it and see it live. Of course, if you if you follow if you follow Bishop on any social media, be sure to give him a wholehearted what happened. As we know, the Brooklyn Nets was eliminated last night, asleep, only team to be swept in the 2020 playoffs. First time, first round swept or exit for Kyrie Irving and KD. Possibly Sauce. Excuse me. So, of course, like I said, be sure to hit Bishop up. I know he's enjoying his vacation, but go ahead and hit his line, bang his line, and be like, hey, bro, what happened? So we can make sure we can talk about when you get here. So I greatly appreciate y'all checking with us, rocking with us today. So we'll look forward to seeing y'all here again here tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Y'all know what it is. First formation, be sure to fall in, but this time, fall out. Look forward to seeing y'all. Holla.